Our next presenter is Tom Royer from Oklahoma, coming back over more than Central States.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody here. It's a pleasure for me to be here and talk with a lot of my compadres. We have a combined department of entomology and plant pathology, so over the years I've had the pleasure of working with several plant pathologists on different projects, although I'm not going to probably talk about a lot of them today that were directly funded with Oklahoma IPM dollars. But I do want to spend a little time talking about the program and what our focus has been over the years and what we have going on right now. And then I'm looking forward to the question and answer period after the program's over so we can go over some new ideas. First, I'd like to talk about the mission. The IPM program in Oklahoma's mission has been to try and be a first-line resource for research-based information on IPM for both rural and urban clientele in Oklahoma. It was a real surprise to me when I started looking at the makeup of Oklahoma, rural versus urban. About half the state is you would classify as urban dwellers, urban people, and about half the state rural. So maybe in the past we focused a little bit too much on the rural issues and maybe neglected some of the urban ones, but we're trying to address that over the last few years with the IPM program. We want to provide practical information, environmentally responsible information. We have started to try and do some work with the animal IPM systems in Oklahoma. That was another one that has not always been addressed directly through the IPM program, but we've tried to do a few things over the last couple of funding cycles. And just increase the use of economically and sound IPM practices for all of our potential clientele in Oklahoma. So I inherited the job of IPM coordinator about probably 8 or 9 years ago, and I always tried to figure out what those responsibilities were. I know that I spend a lot of time talking about trying to identify stakeholder needs, trying to identify programs where we can implement IPM programs and evaluate adoption. And of course manage this, it was Smith Weaver, now it's in a different set of funding opportunities, but to manage those funds effectively through the IPM program, provide timely federal reports, and I think one of my primary responsibilities is to represent IPM to different clientele groups in the state. And we try and do that to a wide variety of different ones. And then, of course, champion IPM programs to the citizens and make sure that they understand what they actually mean and what kind of impact they have through a little bit of social media and just different things that we're doing. So those, I look at those as my main responsibilities. So I try to think about what my goals are as coordinator and working with the IPM program in the state. And it's certainly to work with traditional agricultural IPM programs. Before we went to this new competitive model, there was a time in Oklahoma where there was a very strong, well-funded cotton IPM program for southwestern Oklahoma. Of course, there was a lot of need for that based upon what Dr. Prince talked about a little while ago. We had some very serious pests that required intense management. And so we've tried to maintain that in the new environment. There's no specific funds dedicated to IPM anymore, but we had a effective program for those growers in southwestern Oklahoma, and I felt it was important to try and maintain, excuse me, some of the programs that have been developed, and we still do partially fund a person that works with IPM programs and taught down in southwestern Oklahoma. We also work with urban clientele, homeowners. We've done some quite a bit of work over the last few years with master gardeners to really promote IPM through demonstration gardens, and we developed in the last 4 or 5 years, we developed a advanced master gardener IPM program, because there was a lot of interest in the state with a lot of the master gardeners in how they could really take IPM forward in their gardens and in their training. We certainly have to leverage IPM dollars with other funds to get projects funded. The IPM program, the EIP program itself doesn't provide enough funding to really fully fund projects that we think are important. So it's more of an opportunity to help support identified programs, maybe get some data for them to be able to develop other proposals that they can get funding on a larger, wider basis. We do try and support some graduate student support for different projects. Actually, that's one of the goals that we have now, is to, where is our next generation of IPM practitioners going to come from? And so we feel that that's an important responsibility, and the IPM program in Oklahoma can help support that. We do. Just want to a little bit point out the current status of the program. Right now, what we have in this last funding cycle, we have programs in several different priority areas. Two, what we would call primary priorities: the IPM implementation in agronomic crops. Some of the funds are dedicated to support 3 different programs there. The herbicide resistance program that we had, we wanted to start screening, help producers screen for herbicide resistance in different crops. Small grains and row crops, agronomics. Over the last few years, we've developed, we helped support the growth of the canola industry in Oklahoma, because originally it was implemented to help wheat farmers deal with grassy weeds in their continuous wheat production systems that were becoming a problem. We had very few herbicide opportunities to help them manage. So over the course of the last few years, we helped support the development of the canola industry in Oklahoma. And at the same time, once you start growing a crop like canola, it brings its own disease and insect problems with it. So we've had to continue to deal with those and help producers grow a profitable canola crop, as well as one that helps them manage weeds in their wheat production systems. We also have worked a little bit with helping our stored greens program in Oklahoma, which the IPM program had a history of a very strong program, identifying the extent of resistance of some of these stored grain pests to phosphine, which is the last basically fumigant that they have available for use. So we've got a project that's helped support some of that. We have 2 projects for specialty crops, one in bioretention cells that allow us to establish a bioretention cell near a nursery and collect runoff and fertilizer runoff, as well as pesticide runoff, and hold it in there so that it doesn't get into our water supplies and streams. And we have a graduate student that's working with nursery growers on a banker plant biocontrol system, and getting a couple of cooperators so that we can demonstrate its effectiveness, and then at that point forward, see if we can convince some other of our growers in the state to look at banker plants as a system for biological control of some of their major insect pests. We have an IPM program, implementation program in housing that's kind of linked with our pesticide education program on veterans. So with the housing program, we over the last few years have worked specifically to work with multi-family housing and low-income housing in the state, help them deal with bed bug management problems. And then we also helped fund the purchase of a training facility that can be used by our pesticide education, professional pesticide applicators to use heat treatment for managing bed bugs, as well as some other programs. Over the course of a few years, as coordinator, I participated in different conferences and presented, and I represented IPM in a lot of different talks as well. I also serve as right now, a committee member on the National IPM Coordinating Committee. Our program, I believe, helped us obtain a grant to develop some sampling programs for sugarcane aphid. Dr. Kearns talked about it as a major pest, and it was in Oklahoma too, and we're currently working on developing better and more efficient sampling programs. And so we're supporting 2 graduate assistants with that. Just to let you know about our herbicide resistance program, one of our issues has been professional turnover. Then, of course, that we have a screening spray table that will allow us to evaluate herbicide resistance, but we have had turnover in our specialists that receive this funding, and with me getting some support from the IPM program. So it's been kind of on and off over the last few years, and we just now have a new weed specialist that's going to be working with us, and she has a graduate. She has some of our funds that are helping to support a graduate student to continue to collect data on the different weeds that we know are resistant and where they are in the state. Sugarcane aphid has taken a lot of our attention over the last few years, and so some of our program has helped develop methods to and help support some of our other research looking at the impact of sugarcane aphid on our yields in the state, and how we can help producers grow a profitable sorghum crop with the presence of sugarcane in that. Our stored grain program, we have that program has identified resistance in the state and across the Midwest in the stored grain program. Has generated record publications, professional presentations, and state-level presentations talking specifically about resistance management for these phosphine-resistant stored grain pests. The bioretention cells at nurseries program is coming on board. We've had several demonstrations that were attended, were well attended, showing the impact of what this is and what this can do for a nursery. And we have a person that's analyzing some of the products that are containing this retention and not being moved forward out of the nursery, and it's been pretty effective. Our banker plant system, we have a graduate student that's working with 2 or 3 different cooperators right now. and she's finishing up her doctorate program. She's also a county-based horticulture educator, so she was able to get the content stated, and there's one referee publication in press right now, a couple of stakeholder presentations and demonstrations that she's working with. She's collecting data multiple times through these demonstrations over the course of a couple of years, so that we can have some really solid data to help support future educational programs on using banker plant systems in nurseries and florist nurseries and greenhouses. With our implementation in housing, bed bugs, we developed 7 different YouTube videos talking about how to inspect for them. When you go to when you're on travel, how to inspect for them there. We've presented a lot of programs in Oklahoma over the last few years with multi-family housing and low-income housing and public health people on bed bugs and how to manage them and how to deal with recurring problems. So we've developed fact sheets, we've developed a lot of presentations, and they've been pretty successful. And the last thing, we did purchase a training facility that we installed at the Kingston Urban Pest Management Training Center. Just got established about 6 months ago, and where it's all hooked up and ready to start providing specialized training in the use of heat treatments for bed bug management, and then incorporating all the other potential opportunities that we can, IPM practices that we have for bed bug management. And that is the kind of a synopsis of what we have right now for EIP in Oklahoma. And I'll be ready to take questions after presentations are all. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Banker plants are a system where they provide a host like bird chariotic or something like that has also been parasitized, and then they bring them into a nursery or a greenhouse, and those parasitoid wasps hatch out of there, and they can start attacking whatever aphid you have in that system. So it's just a way to bring parasitoids into a nursery and have them help manage aphid pests or whitefly pests, or there's specific ones that work. Or even, I think, mites. You can sometimes do thrips and mites with banker plant systems.